Hello and welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy.
I'm Jason Gotti.
I'm Dan Majors.
I'm John Majors.
And we are back today for part 2 of our SEC previews. As you can tell by the title, today we're doing the SEC West. So, we're going to go through every single team in the SEC West, give some thoughts on the offense and defense, a ceiling and a floor for this year, along with a record prediction and an MVP. So, we're going to start with last year, and first team up is Alabama. So, Dan, what did Alabama do last year?
Well, Alabama went 14-1, 8-0 in the conference, and won the SEC. They won to the national title to beat Clemson, to lose to Clemson, and they return 11 total starters, 6 on offense, 5 on defense. On offense, they lose Ardarius Stewart, O.J. Howard, and Cam Robinson. On defense, they lose Reuben Foster, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, and Eddie Jackson. So, Jason, what do you think about the tie?
With Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris leading a special group of backs, keeping everyone fresh won't be a problem. The receiving corps has 5-star talent all over the place to help out Calvin Ridley, but the holes to fill are huge. Hurts might have thrown better this offseason, but he still needs the receiver help. So, as always, there are big talented bodies up front, while the interior should be fine. Right tackle is a wee bit of a question mark, but Jonah Williams has to prove he can shine in the spot of Cam Robinson. So defensively, there might not be a Jonathan Allen or Dalvin Tomlinson around the ends in the 3-4, but Deron Payne is a coke machine of a nose tackle, and Deshaun Hand is yet another Alabama NFL caliber defensive lineman who will shine with a bigger role in the rotation. The linebackers need to step up. It's a deep group with plenty of talent around Rashaan Evans, no matter where he plays. However, the outside linebackers and the defense as a whole needs to step up the pass rush. So, my MVP is Jalen Hurts. He's been pretty consistent. I think he's only going to get better. I have the record at 11-1. They're ceiling 12-0, floor 10-2, and they lose to the Florida State Seminoles, the team I'm high on. And so I think that is their only loss of the year.
Yeah, for Alabama, on the offensive side, a lot of big pieces coming back. Jalen Hurts, Bo Scarborough, and Calvin Ridley at the wide receiver, I think, will be the big three. I really like Calvin Ridley, and I think Jalen Hurts has a big year this year. On the defensive side, 5 of the front 7 is now in the NFL, but guys like Deron Payne and Deshaun Hand, I think, will step up and take the next step and be great. Obviously, they're Alabama. Even though 5 of the 7 front 7 is gone, they have plenty of guys to step in. 54 sacks last season. I think they'll be good again, maybe a little worse on the front 7, but overall still pretty solid. The secondary is going to be awesome with Minkah Fitzpatrick, Ronnie Harrison, Anthony Averett on the back end. The secondary will just be fantastic. So I can see Alabama finishing anywhere from 12-0 to 9-3. 9-3, if everything falls apart, they could lose to Florida State week 1 and then LSU and Auburn later. But I don't see any of that happening. I say 12-0 for Alabama this year.
I love this Alabama team, especially with Jalen Hurts, Bo Scarborough, Damian Harris, Dalvin Ridley, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They are loaded. The offense is going to be rolling. A lot of people think Tua Tagovailoa, the true freshman, is going to push Jalen Hurts for the job. I don't think so. Nick Saban's been talking about Jalen Hurts is the guy. He's going to keep this offense rolling. Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris are going to share the job, but I think Bo Scarborough is going to get more carries. Someone that not a lot of people are talking about the wide receiver position is Robert Foster. I think he's going to have a good year, especially with people double-teaming Calvin Ridley. You can't let him get past the secondary. For week 1, they play Florida State, and their best defensive player, Deshaun Hand, just got arrested for a DUI, and I don't think he'll be able to play in that game. But you never know with Nick Saban. He keeps people out there when they should be suspended. But I have Alabama going 12-1 and 8-0 in the conference and winning the SEC championship. Their only loss comes to Florida State in week 1.
I have Alabama doing really well this year. 13th points per game last year, 10th in rushing yards per game. I'd say they have the best running back unit in the country, one of the best receiving corps in the country, one of the best quarterbacks in Jalen Hurts, offensive line solid. Basically, the defense just best in the country, in my opinion. Only allowed 14 points per game last year and 64 rushing yards a game last year. That is just crazy. Both weren't ranking first last year. Deshaun Hand, like John mentioned, that'd be big for them if they lost him, but I'd say if he's there, they have a top 10 defensive line unit in the country. I'd say top linebacking corps and defensive backfield in the country. So I have them at 11-1, 8-0 in the conference, losing to Florida State. I think Florida State, they're more experienced. I think they will get the job done in week 1, but Alabama will win out and make it to the college football playoff.
You said that you think Bama is the best running back group in the country. You think Georgia isn't? You think they're better than Georgia?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris, both are studs. I'd say Nick Chubb's
Sony
on his
Michel
level,
and Nick Chubb.
but I mean, Michelle, I think he's up there, but I don't think he's as good as those two.
It's like a thunder lightning thing. Georgia, they're both basically the same style of play. Alabama, you can put in the big back of Bo Scarborough. Damian Harris is more of a speedster. So it's just a difference.
You think Bama's better backfield wise?
It's really close. I'd give the edge to Alabama, honestly.
What would you do? I'd give it to Georgia, but like, that's just me.
No, I would also say Alabama.
Alright.
Alabama's just loaded everywhere.
Yeah, but I just mean like by pure running backs. Like I would take Chubb and Michelle over Scarborough, and
I think Chubb's the best out of the 4.
Yeah.
But
You think
There's-
there's like
Alabama's are 2 and 3.
I thought you were
that's-
saying okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
All right, so let's move on to the Arkansas Razorbacks. Last year they went 7-6, 3-5 in the conference, and finished 5th in the West. Went on to the Belk Bowl against Virginia Tech and lost. They returned 12 total starters, 6 on offense, 6 on defense. On offense, they lose Raleigh Williams, Keon Hatcher, Drew Morgan, and Dan Skipper. On defense, they lose Brooks Ellis, Jeremiah Ledbetter, and Dietrich Wise. So, Jason, what do you think about Arkansas?
So they were almost never consistent. They weren't able to run well enough. They didn't get strong enough play from the line, and there were too many turnovers. But they still controlled the ball well and managed to grind games down when everything was working. Losing star running back, like you said, Raleigh Williams, to a neck injury suffered in spring ball is a hit no matter how it gets spun. But there are plenty of talented options waiting in the wings, led by Devois Whaley. But Williams was a 1,400-yard, 12-score running back, so it's definitely going to be a replacement they're going to have to deal with. Austin Allen is a solid veteran passer who can carry the offense at times. As long as he's keeping the picks in check and can keep the chains moving, I think he'll be fine, but he needs receivers to emerge. 4 of the top 5 receivers are gone, with Jared Cornelius, the lone reliable veteran, returning. Defensively, moving to a 3-4, now the hope is for former star recruit McTelvin Adjum to blossom as an end, and as the only returning starter up front, while the linebacking corps needs to start being more explosive and force more mistakes. It starts with finding more of a pass rush from all sides of the front seven. The secondary that allowed 200 yards or more 9 times only gave up 12 touchdown passes, and now it gets back 3 decent starters that should be even stronger as long as the front seven can generate more pressure. I'm not high on the Razorbacks. I have them at 5-7 with a ceiling of 7-5, floor of 4-8, and I have them finishing last in the SEC West.
You know, I kind of like Arkansas this year. Austin Allen, strong in the first half of last year, with 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. But after a bruised knee at Auburn, he wasn't really the same after that. 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions after. Obviously, with Raleigh Williams retiring, the running game's not going to be as strong. But Devois Whaley is definitely going to still be solid as number 1 running back. A lot of wide receivers coming in, inexperienced, but a lot of talent there. On the defensive side, 39 rushing touchdowns allowed last year, and 257.6 rushing yards per game. That's got to be fixed. A lot of new guys stepping in. If they step up, along with the defensive backs, 6 guys coming back, if they can fix the rushing defense, they'll be pretty solid this year. I like Arkansas, though. I think they'll finish 7-5.
I'm not a huge fan of Arkansas. I'm with Jason on this one. I'm going 5-7, 2-6 in conference, finishing 6th in the division. Brett Bielema is going to be on the hot seat this year. If he has another bad year, he will be gone. He's 25-26 as the head coach of Arkansas. That's just unacceptable, especially in an SEC school. Arkansas has had success in the past. Arkansas is going to be as good as what Austin Allen is going to take them. So I think they're going to be 5-7. Austin Allen's not going to have a good year. So Arkansas is really going to struggle. They kind of have a tough schedule, but yeah, 5-7. I don't see them doing any better than that.
See, I like Austin Allen. I think he'll have a fine year coming off of 3,400 yards passing last year. Lose 6 out of the top 7 receivers, but I think they'll still be solid. So I have them at 7-5, 3-5 in the conference, and yeah. So let's move on to the Auburn Tigers. As last year they went 8-5, 5-3 in the conference, and finished second in the West Division. They went on, to the Sugar Bowl against Oklahoma and lost. They returned 50 total starters, 8 on offense, 7 on defense. On offense, they lose Tony Stevens, Alex Kozin, and Robert Leff. On defense, they lose Jonathan Ford, Montravius Adams, and Carl Lawson. So, Jason, what do you think about the Tigers?
So, So, for Auburn, I really like what they're doing. I don't know. Chip Lindsey comes in from Arizona State as the new Auburn offensive coordinator, but this is still Gus Malzahn's team and his offense. However, for a team that ranks 6th in the nation in rushing and 112th in passing, the downfield throws and more balance under the new guy need to improve. Jared Stidham knows how to wing it around the yard a little bit from his days with the Bears, but are the receivers in place to make the offense go through the air? I think so. 4 of the 5 targets are back. Leading receiver Tony Stevens might be gone, but the freshman who got their feet wet last season is about to get the ball a whole lot more. As improved as the passing game should be, it'll be hard not to keep handing the ball off to the 1-2 punch of Cameron Petaway and Kerryon Johnson, along with the other good options in the rushing rotation. Losing top rusher Carl Lawson on the outside and star defensive tackle Montravius Adams from the interior hurts, but 6 of the top 7 tacklers are back, including Trey Matthews at one safety spot and Trey Williams in the middle of the linebacking corps. The defensive backs can tackle, but they won't need to do too much in the run because all 3 starting linebackers are returning. Their run defense might improve even more. However, the Tigers need to work more up front. The ceiling for me, 9-3. I think they hit their ceiling at 9-3. I think they can't beat Clemson or Bama, but I think they can beat LSU, but they lose to Georgia, putting them at 9-3. Flora 6-6. I think if that happens, Gus Malzahn is on the hot seat.
Yeah, Auburn's offense, I think, will be really good this year. Jared Stidham coming over from Baylor and Cameron Petaway will be an insane 1-2 duo on the offensive side. The wide receivers, 4 of the 5 guys back, like Jason mentioned. They should be able to catch balls from Jared Stidham, actually a dark horse Heisman candidate. On the defensive side, they'll definitely take a step back with losing Carl Lawson, but making sure it's only a small step back is really what they have to do this season. A lot of young guys that'll have to grow up fast in the SEC, but I think the offense will be good enough to carry Auburn to a 9-3 record this year.
Yeah, I love this Auburn team. Jared Stidham is going to pick up where he left off at Baylor. Sean White never got the job done at Auburn, honestly. Stidham is going to have a great year, and he's going to lead this team. I got Cameron Petaway even having a good season as well. This defense is experienced, and they can stop a lot of teams. Also, what's going to be a great weapon for them when they get on the other side of the field, their opponent's side, they have the best kicker in the country in Daniel Carlson. He's going to be clutch and make crucial field goals this year for him, and he's going to help them win big games. I have this Auburn team going 10-2, 6-2 in conference, and finishing 3rd in the division. Big wins coming against Clemson. I have them beating Clemson, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Georgia in the SEC. So I think they'll have a good year.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Auburn this year. They were 53rd in points per game, but I think what they were missing was a good quarterback, and Jared Stidham will have a good year. I think he will be a Heisman candidate. Could be a Heisman candidate. Has the potential. And they ranked 8th in points allowed last year and only lose 1 out of their top 7 tacklers. So I think they will be great on the defensive side of the ball. I have them at 10-2, 7-1 in the conference, finishing 2nd in the division, and losing to Clemson and Alabama. So let's move on to the LSU Tigers. Last year they went 8-4, 5-3 in the conference, and finished 3rd in the West Division. They went on to the Citrus Bowl and beat Louisville. They returned 11 totals.
Louisville.
It's Louisville.
It's Louisville.
It's definitely Louisville, but keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they returned 11 total starters, 6 on offense, 5 on defense. On offense, they lose Leonard Fournette, Malachi Dupree, and Ethan Pochik. On defense, they lose Duke Riley, Kendall Beckwith, Jamal Adams, and David Godchaux. So, Jason, what do you think about LSU?
Danny Etling's an experienced quarterback. No, he's not going to be great, but he was effective enough last year, and the team needed a steady hand, and it won't get in the way. But does he have anyone to throw to? Like you said, 5 of the top 6 targets are gone, and while DJ Shark is good, it's LSU, who is kind of wide receiver U right now. Losing so many veteran receivers isn't a positive. Fortunately for the Tigers, the offense should be able to crank things up on the ground. Darius, is it Geis?
Yeah.
I call him
Geis.
Darius Gucci, but Darius Geis ripped up a huge season in place of Leonard Fournette and sometimes in the rotation, and now the ground game is all his to take over. He'll combine with more big, talented backs who can step in and produce without much of an interruption behind another excellent line. Defensively, Dan, you mentioned it, they lost their top 6 tacklers and stars like Jamal Adams, Duke Riley, and Kendall Beckwith. That'll definitely hurt the defense. Fortunately, Christian LaCouture is back as a big part of the front 3, while the linebacking corps should be okay as long as pass rushing terror Arden Key is back and ready to produce like he did last season. There is another Jamal Adams in the secondary, but Dante Jackson is an all-star caliber corner on one side, and the safety combination of John Battle and Ed Terry should be up to the team's normally high standards. I'm not as high as you guys are. I have them at 8-4, and I think they lose to Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and one more team. I think that's just like depending on how it goes. Ceiling 10-2, floor 7-5, and the MVP is my boy Darius Gucci.
Darius Gucci, I like it. Last year, he rushed for 1,387 yards and 15 touchdowns. Well, when Leonard Fournette went down, again, he'll be insane this year. As long as Danny Etling can manage the game at the quarterback, I think they'll be really good on the offensive side. On the defensive side, a lot of talent there. Christian LaCouture back after missing last year with a knee injury. Arden Key will be fantastic. The linebacker is a little bit of concern, losing Duke Riley and Kendall Beckwith. And like Jason mentioned, the secondary with Dante Jackson should be really good. So I like LSU this year. I think they finished 10-2. Not really a tough non-conference schedule. Their toughest test is BYU, which I think they can easily win that game. And I say 10-2 for the Tigers this year.
Yeah, I love this LSU team. Ed Orgeron did a great job last year coming in as interim coach. He's going to pick up where he left off for sure. Great guy. He's done a great job at Ole Miss USC. My only concern with this LSU team is their quarterback, Danny Etling. I've never been confident in him. Watching him at Purdue and now LSU, they have the potential with a solid quarterback to go 11-1, maybe even 12-0. But with Danny Etling, I have them going 10-2, 6-2 in conference, and finishing second in the division. I love this defense. Arden Key is one of the best pass rushers in the country. Darius Geis on the offensive side of the ball is a stud. I think the offense actually ran better with Darius Geis at the running back position than they did with Leonard Fournette. It was more fluid, and they just kept everything even. Also, the X factor for this team is going to be cornerback number 2, Kevin Tolliver, for sure. He is a stud. If he can pick up this defense and just really help them out, they could do even better than 10-2, but I have them going 10-2 and finishing second in the division.
Yeah, LSU, I think they'll be all right this year. Etling, I don't think he'll be that great, losing 5 out of the top 6 receivers. I think that will hurt him. Darius Geis will have a solid shot at the Heisman after splitting carries and still having over 1,400 yards last year. I think the offensive line, I think they're one of the best in the country, led by Will Clapp. On defense, only allowed 16 points a game, which ranked 5th. They lose their top 5 tacklers, but I think they reload with great recruiting from Les Miles. So I have them at 9-3, 5-3 in the conference, and finishing 4th in the division, actually, losing to Auburn, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Ed Orgeron, he had a great year last year going 6-2, but he still needs to show me that he can coach 22-29 in his career. He's great at motivating, but I think it all depends on how much motivation they will have this year.
I think he's in the right situation.
I do too. I think I think he's a very good fit at LSU.
All right. So let's move on to Mississippi State. This last year they went 6-7, 3-5 in the conference, and finished 5th in the West. They return 13 total starters, 7 on offense, 6 on defense. On offense, they lose Fred Ross, Devon Desper, and Jamal Claiborne. On defense, they lose Sean Washington and Justin Evans. So, no, they don't. That's on me. That's Texas A&M. Sorry, let's just move on. Jason, what do you got on Mississippi State?
I really like Mississippi State's offense. I like Nick Fitzgerald a lot. He looks like a pro-style passer, but he's most dangerous getting on the move. But now it's about honing in those passing skills a bit more to go along with his slippery running ability. Keeping him in one piece is a must, with likely backup Katon Thompson, as good as he is, a true freshman. The backs are in place to play a bigger role with a strong rotation, but the offensive line needs to come through. The front five will be a work in progress, but Fitzgerald is sharp enough and mobile enough to overcome the leaky line, at least for a little while. Defensively, it's a Todd Graham show. As a new defensive coordinator, will change some things up to crank up the production for a defense that finished 110th in the nation, hurt mostly by a miserable pass defense. Graham's 3-4 alignment has a strong-looking front three, starting with Jeffrey Simmons on the nose and enough talent around him to get creating. There will be plenty of 4-3 looks, though, to get the best players on the field. The secondary has the upside to be far better, especially if JT Gray really does stick as more of a defensive back. The corners are deep, there are options, and the safeties have tacklers. So with all that being said, I think they have a pretty average year, 6-6, ceiling 7-5, floor of 4-8. My MVP is Nick Fitzgerald. I think he's one of the best passers in the SEC. He's a big passer, threw for 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and ran for 16 more touchdowns. He's not the most accurate. He did throw 10 picks, but he cranked up 8 100-yard rushing games and a 258-yard rushing game against Ole Miss, and that made them bowl eligible in the Egg Bowl. And so, I guess maybe it's just that last game I remember, but I'm a big fan of Nick Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Nick Fitzgerald, if he or Mississippi State will just go as far as he takes him this year. 300-plus yards several times last year, but the completion rate has got to go up. 54.3 last year. Him and Arius Williams combined to form a powerful running combo. If those two guys can get it going, Mississippi State will be great. At the receiver, Donald Gray and Keith Mixon are two options. Not a lot behind those guys, though. On the defensive side, Jeffrey Simmons, a former 5-star recruit, and Leo Lewis both will step up this year. The secondary, though, needs to be better. I think Mississippi State has a few really good pieces, but not enough behind them. I say 6-6 this year for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Mississippi State at all. They have one good player, in my opinion, that's Nick Fitzpatrick. But other than that, they're really going to struggle. You guys said everything. Last year, they got beat by South Alabama at home. That is brutal. If they really want to get to a bowl game this year, Nick Fitzpatrick's definitely going to have to play well, and the defense is going to have to step up for sure. So I'm going 5-7, 1-7 in the conference, finishing 7th in the division.
Yeah, Nick Fitzgerald, I think he'll have a good year coming off of
Fitzgerald, sorry. I said it wrong.
He's coming off of 2,400 yards passing and 1,400 yards rushing last year. I think he's basically their whole team. 63rd in points per game, 75th in points allowed. Not a huge fan of Mississippi State. If Nick Fitzgerald plays really well, if he's up there, maybe even Heisman or something like that, I don't think so, not at all. But if he's up there, I think Mississippi State could be solid.
Yeah.
But I have them at 5-7, 1-7 in the conference, and beating Kentucky.
Yeah, like you said, Nick Fitzgerald right now is 100-1 odds to win the Heisman. So not exactly high, but he's definitely in the conversation as a dark horse type thing. But yeah, who's next?
We got Ole Miss next. Went 5-7 last year, 2-6 in the conference, and finished last in the West Division. They returned 11 total starters. 5 on offense, 6 on defense. On offense, they lose Chad Kelly, Akeem Judd, and Evan Ingram. On defense, they lose Ronald Maggio, Tony Connor, and Fidel Brown. So, Jason, what do you think about Ole Miss?
Well, don't forget about the big loss they just had with Hugh Freeze. I mean, that's crazy in of itself. I mean, there's a discussion to be had there, but I don't know. Ole Miss, they lose their coach, their quarterback, and their star tight end. That's a lot to lose. Yes, they do have starters coming back, and I like Shea Patterson. He's a 2016 superstar. He should lead the way. He's kind of a baller, and if the receivers come through, his production will be there. Defensively, they had a rough year, but Marquise Haynes decided to come back for his final year. He's the pass rusher this line needs. There's nothing too special in the linebacking corps, and the secondary is a nice group of safeties to count on. I have them at 7-5, 4th in the conference, ceiling 8-4, floor 5-7. I have Shea Patterson as my MVP, 6'2", 203, hit 55% of his passes, win 6 touchdowns, 3 picks, ran a little bit too, threw for 340 yards against Texas A&M, 320 against Mississippi State, threw for 2 touchdowns. Now he's the face of the franchise, and he should blow up in the new offense. It's his team to run.
Yeah, I like Shea Patterson this year, the number 1 quarterback in 2016, and last year his completion percentage was only 54.8, but that was due to a lot of drop passes too. A lot of targets this year with A.J. Brown and D.J. Metcalf, 2 of the biggest guys there. The running game has some interesting potential under Phil Longo. We'll have to see where that goes. On the defense, like Jason said, they struggled everywhere. But Marquise Haynes does come back, and a lot of guys at linebacker that can fill in. If the defense puts everything together, they could have a nice season. But I say 7-5 this year for Ole Miss. Nothing too special.
Yeah, you guys said a lot of what I wanted to say. I really like Shea Patterson and this Ole Miss team, and they have a chip on their shoulder this year, losing Hugh Freeze and maybe some suspension, like not being able to go to a bowl game. So I really think this Ole Miss team is going to play well. Marquise Haynes really going to play well on the defensive line, create a pass rush, like you guys said. The offensive line is going to be better with a great recruit from a year ago and Greg Little. He's going to be playing left tackle. Shea Patterson, really love his game, really love what he does. Elusive guy in the pocket. I love that he wears number 20 at quarterback. That's pretty cool. You don't see a lot of guys wearing numbers like that. But I think this Ole Miss team will go 8-4, 4-4 in the conference, finish 5th in the division. I think they'll have a chip on their shoulder and play well.
Yeah, I like Ole Miss better than what they did last year, 39th in points per game. Shea Patterson, I think he will lead their offense very well. He'll have a good year after finishing the year starting last year. 130 points allowed, that's not acceptable. Top 3 tacklers return, but linebacker and defensive back units will need to improve. So I have them at 7-5, 3-5 in the conference, and finishing 5th in the division. And yeah, so let's move on to the Texas A&M Aggies. As last year, they went 8-5, 4-4 in the conference, and finished 4th in the West. They went on to the Texas Bowl and lost to Kansas State. They returned 12 total starters, 5 on offense, 7 on defense. On offense, they lose Trevor Knight, Josh Reynolds, Avery Genesee, and Ricky Seals-Jones. On defense, they lose Sean Washington, Justin Evans, and Myles Garrett. So, Jason, what do you think about Texas A&M?
All eyes will be on the quarterback situation. Jake Hubenak, a trusted veteran, should be knocked out of his spot by Nick Starkel or super recruit Kellen Mond. But the Aggies are going to all figure this out against UCLA. They're not going to. It sounds like they're not going to make a decision until the week before or maybe after the season starts. So that's a thing to watch, just like at Florida and some of these other SEC schools. The quarterback battle, whether it divides a team, brings them close together, whatever. Christian Kirk's there. He's a stud. I think he'll be a baller for the Texas A&M Aggies. Defensively, the pass rush was fine with Myles Garrett and Deshaun Hall, but now they're gone. And the top 3 playmakers in the backfield are done. So, So the linebacking core is 2 good veterans, and Otara Alaka and Richard Moore. Really, this team's just kind of okay. I think they're going to be a little better than average at 7-5, finish 5th in the conference, and I think the MVP is Christian Kirk.
Yeah, for Texas A&M this year, like Jason said, if they can figure out the quarterback position, they could do some big things. Christian Kirk and Travion Williams are back. The running back and wide receiver duo. Those guys will really help out whatever quarterback they decide to choose. They do lose Myles Garrett on the defensive side, but they will be still good on the interior line. But the run defense and lackluster linebacker play are going to be tough to overcome for A&M this year. Armani Watts will contend for all SEC recognition, but the cornerbacks need to play better. I say 7-5, and the MVP is Christian Kirk this year for the Aggies.
I like this Texas A&M team. If they want to keep their coach, Kevin Sumlin, they're going to have to play well because he's on the hot seat. But I think Nick Starkel will start the year at quarterback, but Kellen Mond might get a few starts here and there later on in the year. We'll see. This Texas A&M really needs to overcome getting off to a hot start and then struggling at the end of the year. So I see them going 8-4, 4-4 in conference, finishing 4th in the division. Christian Kirk's going to be their star player, make many highlight reel plays, but they really need to step up on defense too. I'm really high on them though, 8-4. That's higher than most people. I think they can get there if they want to keep their coach.
I don't think 8-4 keeps someone, in my opinion. I think they got to be 9-3, 10-2. Like, it sounds like the Aggies AD really is expecting high expectations. I don't know. Do you think someone stays at 8-4?
I think 8-4 is above most expectations this year, so I think he'd have a shot, especially if they play well down the stretch. It really just, I think, depends on how they play down the stretch, because if they falter and things are starting to fall apart, maybe he goes. But if they start off kind of bad and then come back, then I could see him staying with an 8-4 record.
Yeah, I have Kevin Sumlin on my hot seat that we'll get into later. I don't think he'll stay. 8-4 is not good enough, but I think they'll have a better than what they think, season.
I have Kevin Sumlin on another episode coming up on the college football preview. Stay tuned for some. I have some big news on Kevin Sumlin.
All right. Well, I'm a big fan of Texas A&M. 30th in points per game. I think Trevor Knight, he did all right last year, but I think Nick Starkel, I think he could do just as well or maybe even better. He might struggle early, but he'll get the experience he needs down the road. Very, very solid receiving core in Christian Kirk and Keith Ford, one of the best in the SEC, and that's with Alabama and Florida, so very solid there. Ranked 40th in points allowed, Sean Washington and Justin Evans, I think they'll be missed as top tacklers from last year. But I think Armani Watts is bound to have a breakout year at safety. I have them at 9-3, 5-3 in the conference, and finishing second in the division.
Do you think Kevin Sumlin will stay? If
They go 9-3, yes.
I think 9-3 gets it done. It depends on who the 3 losses are to, though. I think if it's UCLA, Alabama, and then who's their rival?
I
Who's
have
Texas A&M?
Alabama, Auburn, and Florida. So
Who's their rival? I don't remember. Who's the Aggies' rival?
Texas A&M is normally Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
SEC.
I don't know. I feel like if they lose to Alabama, UCLA, and another
Alabama's
big
kind of a
school,
rival-ish,
I
yeah.
feel like the AD might even say like that's enough. I don't know. I think he's on a really hot seat right now. But I mean,
agree.
that kind
It
of
depends on the losses.
yeah. That's all right. So that transitions into what's next. Who's your surprise team, everybody?
well, you go first.
All right, I'll go first. Mine's Auburn. I think they're gonna be really good, and I'm buying the John transfer QB hype. I'm liking him. I think Stidham will ball.
I like Ole Miss this year. I think a lot of people are projecting them to kind of go down, but I think they'll be able to stay afloat and still have a at least decent record at 7-5.
Yeah, I agree. I have Ole Miss here as well. Shea Patterson's going to have better production than Chad Kelly. I totally see that.
I like Auburn and Texas A&M. With Auburn, no one really expects them to even be close to winning the West, but I have them with one win over Alabama away from going to the SEC championship. So let's move on to our disappointing team. Jason, what do you got?
I don't really have one that's going to disappoint. If I had to pick one, it'd be Arkansas because I have them going 5-7. But I just think everyone's going to kind of do what they're supposed to do. Maybe Texas A&M, like we talked about, the expectation put on from the AD. But I don't really see anybody really disappointing realistic expectations.
I think you talked about disappointing or expectations. I think Auburn has some expectations to maybe beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl this year. It is at home. It is the last game. But I don't think they get it done. I think they finished third in the West.
Yeah, my disappointing team's Arkansas. Brett Bielema, I don't know if he'll be there after the season with a 5-7 record like I predict. We'll see.
I don't really have one either, but I have LSU. Most experts, they have them in their top 10. I'd say they are a solid team, but I have them going 9-3 and not finishing in the top 10. So let's move on to a player who deserves a bigger spotlight, Jason.
Mine's Nick Fitzgerald. I just like the way he plays. I think he's going to be a stud. He reminds me a lot of Dak Prescott, just not with the poise yet.
My player who deserves a bigger spotlight is going to be Cameron Petway. Everyone's talking about Jared Stidham coming over, maybe a Heisman candidate, but Cameron Petway had a fantastic year last year for Auburn, and I think he'll be even better this year.
I had the state of Mississippi quarterbacks. I couldn't decide on Shea Patterson or Nick Fitzgerald. I think Patterson's really going to have a good year in this offense and thrive. He'll have a better year than Chad Kelly, like I said earlier.
Why do you like Patterson so much?
He's just so elusive in the pocket, and their offensive line is not as good. I like his
Yeah.
arm strength. I like everything he can do. He can definitely run the read option a little bit better than Kelly.
Okay.
And they're
He's
going
coming
through a
in.
tough time right now, and I think he'll be the leader that they need.
Okay.
I like Jared Stidham. He's a talented young cornerback, and I think he could be potential Heisman. I say dark horse, but I mean, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
him, like
According to the odds, it's not that high. It's 15-1 odds for Jared
Wow.
Stidham. Like, and
It's
that's,
the style of offense. They put
I
up a
mean,
lot of
that's
points.
higher than Josh Rosen, Mason Rudolph, Saquon Barkley, Bo Scarborough, Derek Gucci, my boy. Like all of these guys, it's higher.
Guys.
I'm calling him Darius Gucci. Okay, that's his name. That's gonna be his nickname. Watch it happen.
that really surprises me though, because I had him as a dark horse, but I think he could potentially be a Heisman candidate.
Yeah.
So let's move on to coach on the hottest seat. Jason, what do you got?
John, you mentioned it 2 or 3 times. I have Brett Bielema. I think if he has a year that doesn't go bowling, he's done.
Yeah, I think him along with Kevin Sumlin this year. Texas A&M is far removed from the Johnny days. Kevin Sumlin, if he has another down year, could be gone.
I agree with what both you guys said. Kevin Sutherland, Brett Bielema. I have Kevin Sutherland, though, written down. I just don't think 8-4 is going to be good enough to keep him.
I have Nick Saban. Nah, I'm just kidding. But I have Dan Mullen here. I think 9th year here. If he has another losing season, I think he could be gone. So let's move on to best pro prospect. Best pro prospect. Jason, what do you got?
My boy Darius Gucci. I have him here one more time. I had to put it in there as many times as I could. Yeah, Darius Geis, I think he's going to be a stud in the pros.
I have Arden Key right now, the number one prospect on CBS Sports, the defensive end for LSU. He's fantastic. I think he'll have a great year and be picked in the top 5 in next year's draft.
The best pro prospect by far in this division is Micah Fitzpatrick, DB for Alabama. He is a stud, all-around guy. Even when he makes interceptions, he takes them to the house. Look for him to have at least 3 touchdowns on the defensive side of the ball this year.
Yes, I love Micah Fitzpatrick. He's the best player on the best team in the country.
I disagree with the best team in the country. But stay tuned for on Thursday. We will be having our college football playoff episode where you hear all about who I think the best team in the country is. They're going undefeated, only undefeated team in the country. Stay tuned for that. We've also got some fantasy football and NFL stuff coming up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, if you want to see all of that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure to follow our Twitter in the description. The link is there. Vote in our daily polls. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.